Hello, I'm talking to you from the future. 20 years have now passed since your conference, and some things have changed, some things haven't. It's not raining anymore, but there's still a hosepipe ban. And the England football team have still not won any major tournaments. Some things have changed, however. The Euro crisis finally blew over in about 2018. Scotland voted for independence in their referendum, and subsequently found a massive oil field in the North Sea. They're now the 6th largest economy in the world. And in the world of work, 4 megatrends have had a profound impact since you attended the conference and watched this video. They are globalisation 2, technology, demographics and individualisation. Let's look at them in a bit more detail. Globalisation 2. What do we mean by that? Beyond just interconnectedness, globalisation 2 refers to the balance of power. China and America are now economic equals. Consequently, Asian management practices and models are becoming more influential. In your time, around 50% of the Chinese workforce wanted to work for Western businesses. Now, less than 10% want to work for Western companies. Competition and access to local talent in the Brazilian, Russian, Indian and Chinese economies is tough, and the BRIC economies are increasingly trading amongst themselves and their nearest neighbours. Africa, whose population has increased by 60% since your time, is now the emerging market, and Europe is seen on the world stage as a declining market. In Japan, Europe and America, most jobs in industries that compete with China and India have gone as a result of lower costs and regional labour policies. And the workforce is more mobile. Highly qualified and extremely capable people and teams now work across international boundaries in ways that were emerging in your time and simply impossible in the 1990s. In addition, there's been the emergence of a global middle class with values, demands and expectations which are somewhat different to those you might expect. HR and L&D in the most successful organisations recognised this 20 years ago and have welcomed new ways of working. Technology. Globalisation has been accelerated by the rise in readily available technology and communications. Just as a telegram accelerated international trade in the late 19th century, so the internet has enabled incredible connectivity. We don't tweet anymore, and a virus wiped out Facebook. But a great deal of business is now done virtually, and digital knowledge has become the powerhouse of the global economy. Most workers now are expected to be IT fluent. Communication, cooperation, organisation and production are no longer tied to a place. Few knowledge workers work in offices anymore, and this has blurred the line between work and home. The 9 to 5 of the 50s and 60s, which became the 8 in the morning till 7 PM of your time, is now more like the 24 hours. Learning and development takes place as much through social media and simulation as it does within the organisation. And just-in-time learning is the norm. Rarely do people actually attend courses anymore. Do you remember when you booked people on courses? I don't. Demographics. The generations of young people coming through today, not Generation X or Generation Y, but iGen, may seem born IT literate, but there are fewer of them. Not just in the West, but globally. With the exception of Africa, in all developed societies there's been a baby boom followed by a baby bust, and populations are ageing. Those that do have children now expect more support. And there's a much more diverse workforce, racially and culturally, but also in terms of older workers, and those with the responsibility of caring for older parents at home. They all have different needs, and different development needs. To compete for talent, companies now offer an L&D portfolio to their employees that include caring, childcare and education. As life expectancy has increased, we now retire later. Older workers have knowledge and competencies that the young need time to acquire. However, they tend to favour traditional working patterns and formal working practices. They expect old-fashioned systems of performance management and a work-life balance. Younger workers, however, are more flexible. They blend work and life, adapting more rapidly to changing trends. But they demand much more of their employers. Managers will have to flex to many sets of expectations. Individualisation. Back in the 1920s, Henry Ford was famous for saying, "You can have it in any colour so long as it's black." How the world has changed. Do you still buy newspapers? Now content is tailored and streamed to viewers' tastes. And when it comes to employment, the same applies. As employees' boundaries between work and life have blurred, so their professional and personal goals have merged. Due to demographic changes, there's a thinner talent pool. People are more ready and able to work independently and choose their employer. Workforce loyalty is a key issue. Individualisation is the ability for employers to tailor the psychological contract around a person's needs. In terms of L&D, tailoring to individuals' learning preferences, their choice of topic, learning platform, time and place of learning has vastly improved productivity, as well as engagement and loyalty. Redesigning L&D processes to suit individuals rather than the organisation is standard practice. So where does all of this leave you? What are your experiences? In a moment I'm going to hand over to my colleague John Wildman, who's there in the room with you. Hello John. He'll lead a discussion that we'd like you all to be a part of. To start that ball rolling, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Being aware that some of you may be further ahead in the change curve than others, have these trends already started affecting you and your organisation? And if so, how? And in which area are you or your organisation least ready to adapt? Thank you.